शीतला सस्यश्यामला मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनी पुल्लकुसुमित द्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्.
Okay, good morning students. Today we are going to learn about gases exchange. What is that? Gases exchange at alveoli to capillaries. Today we are going to learn about gases exchange. From which alveoli to capillaries. Actually, gases exchange takes place within the lungs. Gases exchange takes place within the lungs. In the lungs, where it is takes place. In the lungs, where it is takes place, the exchange process. That is, a sac-like structure is called alveoli. What is that? Alveoli. Actually, the gases exchange takes place in alveoli by the process of diffusion. What is that? Diffusion. Alveoli is the structural and functional unit of lung. Alveoli is the structural and functional unit of lung. Okay, so how this process takes place? How this process takes place? Now, I want to explain. This is a sac-like structure. For example, just I want to draw. Actually, this both the lungs. In the lungs, there are numerous sac-like structures are there. Numerous sac-like structures are there. These numerous sac-like structures is called alveoli. So, I want to draw one alveoli here. So, this is alveoli. The alveoli outer cover is covered with a single cell layer, a single cell thickness. The outer cover is a single line or single cell thickness. This is cells, only one layer. Single cell. What is this? This is called alveoli. The alveoli surrounded with capillary. The alveoli surrounded with blood capillaries. That is also single-lined vessel. Single-lined blood vessel. The capillary means the finest branch or the finest blood vessel. Very thin, just like hair-like structure, capillary vein. So, the thick colored blood from the heart, send into this capillaries. Send into this, for example, this is a heart. the thicker blood sent into this capillary. What is thick colored blood? It means the heavy quantity of carbon dioxide is having such kind of blood. So that's the reason the blood is colored in very thick. Very thick. The thick colored blood means the carbon dioxide, when it is entered into the blood is having very thick in color. So this blood is having carbon dioxide. Such kind of blood is entered into this capillaries by the heart. By the heart. Okay now. So now the blood is the carbon dioxide blood. The carbon dioxide blood is entered into the capillaries by the heart. For what? For getting purification. The capillaries receives deoxygenated blood from the heart and send into the lungs for getting purification. So now this capillary is having deoxygenated blood. It means it contains more carbon dioxide. So this is having CO2. This blood is having CO2. This blood is having CO2. Where it comes? It comes from the heart. Okay. Now, when we are inhale the air, so through the nostrils, nostril cavity, pharynx, larynx, bronchus, and bronchioles, and finally it reaches to the alveoli. Where it reaches? It reaches to the alveoli. It means, so inside the alveoli there is a oxygen. Inside the alveoli there is a oxygen. Do you know one thing? So from the inhaled oxygen, when it reaches to the alveoli, the oxygen quantity is very high. High quantity of oxygen is having alveoli here. But from the heart, when the deoxygenated blood is entered the capillary, inside the blood capillary, the blood is having less quantity of oxygen, less quantity, less O2. Less quantity of oxygen is having inside the capillaries. But alveoli, in the alveoli, there is high quantity of oxygen is there. Is it right? So here, from the outer, inside the alveoli, there is less quantity of carbon dioxide. Less quantity of carbon dioxide. But in this capillary, in this blood capillary, the carbon dioxide quantity high. Okay now? Do you understand what I am telling? Inside the blood capillary, the carbon dioxide quantity high in nature. Inside the alveoli, the carbon dioxide quantity very less. But here, in the blood capillary, the oxygen quantity is very less. But in the alveoli, the oxygen quantity is very high. There is a variation between gases here. There is a variation between gases. What is that? Here oxygen quantity is very high, here less. The liquids or gases are moving from higher concentration to lower concentration. Higher concentration to lower concentration. Maintain equal concentration is called diffusion. What is that? Diffusion. When the concentration high, low, maintain here, automatically the diffusion process takes place. So by the process of diffusion, the oxygen is entered into this blood capillary. Meanwhile, the carbon dioxide is entered into the alveoli. The carbon dioxide is entered into the alveoli. So from the alveoli, the gases are releasing out into the atmosphere. So the oxygen is entered into, when the oxygen is entered into the blood capillary, through the capillary, the blood through the capillary, the oxygen is sent into the different parts of our body cells. Different parts of our body cells. Okay? So likewise, the gases exchanges takes place at alveoli. The gases exchange takes place at alveoli. Here, we will see the compositions of inhaled and exhaled air. The compositions of inhaled and exhaled air. So look at this. In inhaled air, this is exhaled air. The oxygen, when we inhale, in that 21% of oxygen is there. When we are releasing out, during that time, the oxygen percentage is 16%, means less. Carbon dioxide, when we inhale, the carbon dioxide reaches 0.04%, very less. When we exhale, the carbon dioxide percentage is 4%, very high. Nitrogen, we are not using, so that's the reason. Inhale and exhale, there is no change. Okay, now this is the compositions of gases in inhaled and exhaled air. Okay, now the transportation of gases. The transportation of gases. Actually, from the heart, the blood is entered into the alveoli with the help of this blood capillaries. Blood capillary. What is this? Blood capillary. So here the gases exchange takes place. Already we saw. Here the gases exchange takes place. So now these capillaries are having oxygenated blood. Means oxygenated blood means the blood is having now oxygen. The blood is having now oxygen. Before that, the blood is having carbon dioxide. When the gases exchange takes place in the alveoli, right? Now these capillaries are having oxygenated blood. Actually, from this capillary, who is taking into the body? That oxygen, it should be supplied to the each and every part of our body cells. Who will do that work? The oxygen alone cannot enter into the cell. The blood is not carrying the oxygen. Who will take? In the blood, there is a pigment. There is a pigment. That pigment name is called hemoglobin. What is that? Hemoglobin. That hemoglobin carries this oxygen through the blood to different parts of our body cells. Did you understand what I am telling? When the oxygen is combined with hemoglobin, then the hemoglobin binds the oxygen and sends it to the each and every part of our body cells. Okay, now here, when this oxygenated blood directly after lungs, directly not enter into the body cells. After purification, when the gases exchange takes place in the alveoli, again this oxygenated blood, it's entered into the heart. It entered into the heart. From the heart only, it is supplied to the each and every part of our body cell through the hemoglobin. Okay, now. So actually, here, this oxygen when it is entered into the blood, in the blood there is a pigment. That pigment name is called hemoglobin. What is that? Hemoglobin. When the oxygen is added with this hemoglobin, this is called as oxyhemoglobin, HbO2. HbO2, oxyhemoglobin. So means the hemoglobin only carries this oxygen to different parts of our body cells. From the heart, different parts of our body cells. Do you know one thing? When we are inhaled air, in the inhaled air, so many gases are there. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, phosphorus, argon, geol, krypton. So many gases are there. But in the alveoli, from the alveoli, when this oxygen enters, or some gases are enters, when the oxygen entered into this blood, the blood only combines with the Hb, hemoglobin, and form a oxyhemoglobin. Why only oxygen only combined with the hemoglobin? Rest of them, why they are not combined with this hemoglobin? Because the oxygen have a capacity, means the oxygen have a energy to form a bond with hemoglobin. But rest of the gases are not having such kind of energy to form a bond with hemoglobin. Okay, so that's the reason. Oxygen combines with Hb, means hemoglobin form a HbO2. So this HbO2 from this capillaries, with the help of blood, in the blood there is a hemoglobin. That hemoglobin carries the oxygen into the heart. From the heart, this oxygen is supplied to each and every part of our body cells. Our body with numerous cells. Is it right? I want to draw here one cell. What is this? Cell. So here, actually the gases exchange in two levels. In the first level, lungs, means in the alveoli. In the alveoli, the gas section takes place, that is first time. And next time, the gases section takes place at tissue level. Tissue means a group of cells. Is it right? So, in the cells also the gases exchange takes place. When the HbO2 means oxyhemoglobin, when it is reaches to the cells, then the gas exchange also takes place. It means here also the cell also surrounded with blood capillary. This is cell, this is blood capillary. Okay now. Oh, this blood capillary, what type of blood it is having now? That is oxyhemoglobin, that is HbO2. Is it right? Now, inside the cell, here oxygen is also there inside the cell, but is very less in quantity, CO2 quantity very high. High in quantity. Okay, next. In the capillary, HbO2 is there. Meanwhile, little amount of carbon dioxide also is there. HbO2 means in the hemoglobin there is a oxygen as well as the little amount of carbon dioxide is also is there. HbO2 means O2 is there as well as CO2 also is there. But here what we have to understand, O2 is in high quantity. O2 is in high quantity. High in quantity. CO2 is less in quantity. Inside the cell, oxygen is less in quantity. Inside the blood capillary, oxygen is the high in quantity. So this carbon dioxide and oxygen also carried by this pigment. What is that? Hemoglobin. HbO2, if it is CO2 carried by this Hb, that is HbCO2. HbCO2. Carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, now, right. So now, this HbO2, before entering into the cells, actually, here less concentration, oxygen is high concentration. Then immediately what will happen? From the higher concentration to lower concentration, the gases are moving. Immediately, before entering this oxygen into cells, this HbO2 is divided as a Hb plus O2. It is oxygen separates from the hemoglobin. Then this oxygen is entered into the lungs. Cells. Then here in the cells, the carbon dioxide quantity is very high. So that's here less. So that's the reason this carbon dioxide is entered into the blood. Then when the carbon dioxide entered into the blood, this carbon dioxide is also added with this Hb, means hemoglobin. Then CO2 plus Hb is equal to HbCO2. This HbCO2 means carboxyhemoglobin. It is from the cells, it is entered into the heart. It is entered into the heart by the capillaries. It is entered into the heart. This cell only I draw here. Okay, na? So this capillaries, this HbCO2 send into the HbCO2 send into the heart. So now this heart contain carbon dioxide. Then again this carbon dioxide blood. So when carbon dioxide is mixed with this blood, means mixed with this hemoglobin, the blood is having thick in color. When here the alveoli, when the oxygen is added with this hemoglobin, very bright in color. Bright is different than thick. Muduru erupu, leda erupu, bright in color. Here oxygen is added with hemoglobin, but here carbon dioxide is added with. So that's the reason this thick colored blood is entered into the heart. From the heart again it entered into the lungs. For what? For getting purification. So from the lungs, after purification, this HbO2 is entered into the heart. Again, it entered into the heart. From the heart only, it suppressed to each and every part of our body. So from the body, the carbon dioxide is collected by the blood. Then the blood is converted as a HbCO2, like this HbCO2. HbCO2. This HbCO2 again is entered into the heart. From the heart again it is entered into the lungs. Lungs to again it come to the body. Again it come to the heart. From the heart, body cells. From the body cells, again it's entered into the heart. It's look like a circulation. It's look like a circulation. This is called transportation. This is called transportation. Why? Because it is moving one place to another place. It is a
Gaseous exchange refers to the process of oxygen and carbon dioxide moving between the lungs and blood. Air passes into the lungs via bronchi, bronchioles, and then into alveoli. This is where gaseous exchange takes place. Alveoli are individual hollow cavities contained within alveolar sacs or ducts. There are approximately 3 million alveoli within an average adult lung. They have very thin walls, which permit the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide gases. A network of small blood vessels called capillaries, into which the inspired gases pass, surrounds alveoli. Diffusion occurs when molecules move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. This occurs during gaseous exchange because the blood in the capillaries surrounding the alveoli has a lower concentration of oxygen than the air in the alveoli, which has just been inhaled. Because both alveoli and capillaries have walls which are only 1 cell thick, this allows gases to easily diffuse from one to the other. The same happens in reverse with carbon dioxide, CO2. The blood in the surrounding capillaries has a higher concentration of CO2 than the inspired air. Therefore, CO2 diffuses the other way, from the capillaries into the alveoli, where it can then be exhaled or breathed out. We can see the results of gaseous exchange from comparing air we breathe in with the air we breathe out.